Hello, my name is Jessie, and my presentation is on the reading Socially Responsible Design, which you can probably see through my glasses. That's okay. We live in a world of intense hyperconsumerism. Things are being mass-produced, and we're always buying things. This has been made possible through the introduction of industrial design in the late 19th century. People are now considering the consequences a bit more. When you scroll down to the end of a website, there might be a little link talking about social responsibility or something about workplace rights and things like that. So people are now considering the ramifications a bit more, but probably not as much as they should. Victor Papanek was an Austrian-American designer who wrote the book Design for the Real World. He was kind of the first person to talk about ethics and social responsibility of designers, particularly industrial designers. His beliefs were turned into the triple bottom line framework that you might have heard of by John Elkington. This was a very basic approach, but it essentially showed that sustainable design produces products that minimizes environmental damage, achieves acceptable economic benefits to the company, and has a positive impact on society. Eventually, people saw the need for this approach to be updated as it was a bit vague and missing out a lot of stuff. Missing out things like co-design, which is a term we talked about last week, which is like designing with people rather than solely for people. The group who wrote this paper came up with a broader set of criteria to determine how socially responsible a design really is. And we're mainly focusing on design for developing countries or the third world here. So there are 8 things to consider. Naturally, an actual need or problem should be identified. Then suitability is ensured through careful research so that the solution is culturally appropriate. And you can do this simply by listening to the community to gain that local context. Affordability is pretty self-explanatory. Does the design enable advancement? That's either through gaining new skills or creating new jobs. Usability of the design is also really important. The environment is always constantly changing. Will the design keep up? Or is it too complicated to use? If it's not, then that's good because it then can be controlled and maintained locally. Or even better, it can be manufactured by the companies or the communities themselves from local materials. This makes the communities feel empowered. Like they have that sense of ownership over their own product. Ultimately, this reduces dependency as well on outside countries, which is a good thing. And there are lots of examples in the reading of socially responsible designs that have good intentions but weren't quite successful. We can't really consider them socially responsible fully. For example, LifeStraw. You guys have probably heard of LifeStraw. It's a water purification device, and its aim was to make contaminated water drinkable. So it's like a giant straw, pretty much, that you could stick in a stream and suck, and then it'd be like clean water. It could apparently filter 1,000 litres of water, which was about a year's worth for one person. I'm pretty sure they've made a new one now that's like 4,000 litres. And people have said that it drew attention away from what was actually more important for that area, which was a long-term water infrastructure. So it kind of delayed that. I'm sure it was unintentional though. So can we really consider it a good socially responsible design solution? Well, it does address a need, for sure. And it works well, I guess. It's pretty stylish. But it does promote dependency because it doesn't really empower communities. It's just something that people have given to the communities without any training on how to produce it locally with local materials by local people. It's just been imported so that communities still rely on external suppliers from outside countries, and therefore they don't have a sense of ownership. It's not really sustainable. I understand that now people actually use the straw when they go camping or hiking or something, so it's clearly not just meant for those in developing countries anymore. I'm now going to analyse an example that's not in the reading, which I think is an example of a good socially responsible design. It's not perfect, but yeah, nothing's going to be perfect. Continuing on the water theme, I guess this is the village drill created by the non-profit Who Lives. The founder of Who Lives, John Renard, commissioned a university team from BYU to design a drill, because often the problem with these third world countries is not that they don't have enough water, but it's just like really deep beneath the ground. So yeah, this drill would give those communities drinkable water through a human-powered product, and it was basically this large flywheel that you push like this, and you could drill it as deep as 76 meters below the ground. The drill was really simple, therefore also accessible and affordable. So we've straight away established a need, access to clean water, which I guess was the same as LifeStraw's need. They partnered with the target community, so they talked to manufacturers, they talked to drill operators and village elders. So already there's a difference. You can see that there's more engagement with the community from the very beginning. They were involving them and including them, adding to that sense of responsibility that we talked about earlier. The communities were taught how to use the drill and install the well so that they didn't have to depend on other people. Therefore, it could be locally controlled. And at $18,000 US dollars, it does sound expensive, but significantly it is more cost effective in the long run. Who Lives actually does have their own drill as well to install hand pumps separately for about 4,000 US dollars. So for places like farms and schools. They've also been monitoring the progress post introduction, which is great, and they've done studies on the product's impact. They've enabled advancement, which is one of the criteria, through jobs. So yeah, I think it can definitely be considered sustainable design. That's positively impacted hundreds and thousands of people, which you can look up on Google. It's called the Village Drill. And at the end of the reading, it basically talks about the lack of education around this topic in design schools. It also acknowledges how hard it is for students to properly, fully engage with communities that they want to help. You can't just like jet off to a third world country and stay there for a few months and understand how people live and how people work and communicate, and yeah, it's not realistic. But yeah, hopefully you guys learned something. I'll leave you with these questions. The first one is, before listening to this, what did you think socially responsible design was? Secondly, why do you think people care about sustainable design? And thirdly, as a designer, and it doesn't have to be industrial design, do you consider sustainability in your work? If yes, how? And if no, why not? And there is no correct answer, so you can be honest. Thanks, guys. Bye.